as I'm listening to everybody, one thing that comes to mind is that, at least in my case, as I've said before, I've only been involved in my wife's life experience for 9 years. Mm-hmm. Now she had 40-something years between her and her mom. So I'm looking at it from a 9-year perspective, while my wife has been dealing with her mom for 46, 47 years. Yeah. So she has a longer life experience of dealing with her mother than me as an outsider looking in from a 9-year perspective. And I think the same thing goes with her daughter. We both married previous before us getting involved. So I've known my wife with her daughter, with her kids for those 9 years. So as she was raising them as a single mom or with her prior husband, she had those experiences, those life experiences that may affect how she's dealing with her children now with me. So I think that's important to say, okay, I've only been observing this relationship for a smaller period of time than what she has been. And what I've observed is that between my wife and her daughter, I think she has become, which I disagree with.
Yeah.
Be careful. We always talk about parents being friends with their child, and I kind of see that with my wife and her daughter.
So she's become one of her little friends.
Yeah, as a friend, as opposed to a parent. She has her parent moment, but overall, I see that dynamic between my wife and my daughter versus I don't think she was ever friends. My wife was ever friends with her mom in the same respect. So I don't know if that plays a role as far as I'm bumping heads with my mother for X amount of years. When I have my daughter, I don't want that relationship with my daughter. So I'm gonna have a different approach. And right or wrong, whether the approach is right or wrong, that's what she chose to do, how she handled that relationship.
Welcome back to The Motherly Shift and to part 2 of our conversation in The Observation Class. If you joined us last week, then you already know this room full of men brought honesty, humor, vulnerability, and perspective that we rarely get to hear when talking about the African American mother-daughter dynamic. In part 1, these brothers shared exactly what they see: how mothers and daughters often clash because both believe they're right, how nurturing can turn into overprotection, how daughters sometimes struggle to step into adulthood while mothers struggle to let go, and how the emotional patterns between women differ from the more linear, logical way many fathers and sons work through conflict. We heard stories of grass-cutting lessons and stay-in-your-lane moments, the quiet negotiations men make behind the scenes, and the delicate balance they try to hold between supporting their wives and not getting pulled into generational tension they didn't create. Most importantly, the men opened up about how their own upbringing, their mothers and grandmothers, and even the societal roles placed on Black men shape how they show up today. Now in part 2, we go even deeper. In this half of the discussion, the brothers begin wrestling with why these conflicts persist, looking at age gaps between mothers and daughters, maturity levels, social expectations, and even the generational competition that can show up when women grow up too close in age or are simultaneously navigating identity, responsibility, and womanhood. They unpack the emotional buildup that happens over years of small moments, micro interactions that daughters never forget and mothers sometimes never address. They talk about how trauma, unspoken hurt, and childhood experiences carry forward into adulthood, and how both sides often want healing but struggle to take the first step. What emerges in this second half is a surprisingly tender truth. These men genuinely want to support the women in their lives, even when they don't fully understand the depth of the wound or the history behind it. They grapple with whether they should listen, intervene, fix, empathize, or simply get out the way. And they acknowledge that sometimes being present, really present, is as close as they can get to healing something they didn't break. So as we step back up to the observation glass, I invite you to listen closely. This conversation continues to pull back the layers that many families never talk about out loud. The insights here about compassion, empathy, generational pain, and the hope of doing better are rich, revealing, and deeply human. Let's pick up where we left off and continue this necessary, eye-opening journey with the men in our lives.
We look at a movie like Fences, play like Fences.
Sure.
This is clearly a butting heads display showing this relationship between father and son that would be very similar to the way in which we're talking about these mother-daughter relationships, right?
Yeah, but are those the same emotions that's attached?
Does it have to be?
Yeah.
Does it have to be if the conflict is still conflict?
Because I think it's different. I think it's total different dynamic because a mother and daughter is going to have a lot more emotions on certain things versus a son and a father having.
I agree and I disagree. I think from a mother-daughter, I think it is more emotional, but I think between a father and a son, it's more survival. It's more societal. What we brought up to be men. Mm-hmm. So we're going to approach our son from that perspective as a provider.
Especially at this age, right? That's the other thing too.
Yes.
When we look at across the board, as you're interviewing us, at this age and stage, right? Our influences were different than maybe if you're interviewing fathers that are 40 years old, right? Mm-hmm. Because of that dynamic. Yeah, we were raised by a deliberate set of standards, and that becomes the difference between the mother and daughter perspective. Again, from my perspective, I have sons, right? Mm-hmm. So understanding that George has sons in this, right? So understanding how that interaction influenced us. But the other point, back to the original thing about how we support these things, I think a lot of that also has to do with how we might have been influenced by our matriarchal influences as men coming up. Because again, I'm raised Southern Baptist, essentially. And so there was a protocol. So in the absence of a male, there was that female. My grandmother, my great-grandmother, my mom, there was always going to be, if the man wasn't there, there was a strong woman that you had to make sure that you guarded yourself against. You set up your principles against. There was always something that kept you regimented. You couldn't get out of line. So if your father wasn't there, there was this woman there that made sure that you guarded yourself accordingly. And then in our age, right, we took it to the next level. So I was going to make sure that my sons always understood how we operate as men. Right, wrong, or indifferent.
The difference that's a good point. The difference that I found, like I got a son and a daughter, right? And I made mention earlier that I watch my wife watch my daughter. Well, my wife, she does the same thing, but through a different lens. So I'm trying to make sure I'll never be able to know how to properly raise a woman because I'll never be a woman. I have a good idea because I've seen women being raised or raising other women, but the experiences that they have in their bodies, through their emotions, their firsthand, I will never have it. But what I'm trying, with my wife watching me, now she's cutting in. Now she started to cut into me doing my thing. I'm just watching, right? And I'll tap her later and say, "Hey, what was up with that? Right? But it ain't till later. Right? You got time to go back to wrong your rights, but you cutting into you getting all over here while I'm trying to do my thing.
Stay in your lane.
Yeah. Perfect example. My son, I said, man, it's time to cut the grass, boy. It's time to charge him. It's time to pull him up. And I was hoping, I said, man, I hope I have a lawnmower that you got to pull that thing a few times. I mean, you got to really get after that thing. But I had a good one, right? First pull, she humming, right? So he goes back and say, okay, boy, and he barely able to see over the bars, right? True story. So I'm sitting in there, I come out, I go upstairs, I said, going outside. I showed him how to do it. Stay on the lines, the wheels. Right? You return and you come back and it's the same thing over and over. As long as you start off with the right way, you go in the right. You got it. You stay on line, right? So I go upstairs for a second. I come back downstairs and my wife looking through the blinds and the window wide open. She looking out the window at my son. He looking up at her. She looking at him. I said, come here real quick. And she comes over and she sits down at the table and she looking at me and I ain't saying nothing. And she said, what? I said, nothing, just sit here for a second. Right? And she said, I don't know what you. I said, look, you're looking at that boy outside and you see mama looking at him through the window. And you're making him soft. You're making the boy soft. Now, I said, now when he's done, and he got all the hair all in his face and all on his clothes, and the job is complete, then you can take your thumb, you can lick it, and come here, boy, and you can do your thing. I said, but until then, I said, you're cutting into my action here.
That's the difference.
And I'm teachable. My man, I'm sorry, I forget your name, man. Shamar, man.
Yeah,
Look,
that's the difference. Yes,
that's
sir.
the difference.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. That's the difference you asked for, family.
And I definitely see that interactions that fathers have with their sons
Yes, sir.
is monumentally different. And, most of those tend to be around, who's going to have the authority in this circumstance until they're old enough to go do their own
Standards. I think we want to instill standards in us. So society has gotten away from making sure that they have standards.
Yeah.
That's
Right? And so what we were raised with standards. And nobody else is instilling standards. And so it is our responsibility. And moms, I tell both my boys, I want them to be mama's boys. And not that your mother does everything for you, but there's nothing that you wouldn't do for your mother. Because they the ones, I'm gonna take you to the hospital to get them stitches. I'm gonna watch you. Cool, bro, we gonna get stitched up. She gonna keep you from getting the stitches. Right? I'm cool with you getting some stitches. That's the difference.
Okay. All right. So, what do you think is then at the heart of this bumping heads? Because everybody's used the term. When you first notice it, and what do you think is at the heart of it?
The mother and daughter.
Yeah.
I think what's at the heart of it is mom thinks she's right, daughter thinks she's right, and they're both trying to make their right connection. They're trying to make their right point.
But we observe the same thing amongst the men, right? And their sons. My sons think they're right. I think I'm right. We don't have the same kind of head button, which has been the.
It goes back to the women are emotional, men are more logical.
But we tend to figure it out.
We might take some different routes to get there. We tend to compromise and eventually figure it out. And women in general, at least from what I see, when they want something, they want it that way, and if it ain't that way, they mad. They get upset about it. So when you get two of them together, they not as willing to compromise.
Stand down to each other.
You got more mad.
I think it boils down to generally speaking, mothers or females are more nurturing than men. And the example I would say is that the reason I think the bumping of the heads happen is mom is always going to be mom, no matter how old your kids grow up to be. You're always going to be that nurturing teacher. I think in my case with men to their sons is that at some point we're going to let life teach you a lesson. I've told you what to do, what not to do. And that nurturing, we're going to cut it off at some point. And we're going to let our sons, we're going to let go. Mothers, I think they have a harder time letting go and letting their daughters experience life and bump their heads or let life teach them a lesson they've been trying to do.
We were allowed to fail.
Correct.
Yeah.
But they would tell you fail fast.
Right.
I read a book, Robert Kiyosaki, and before you quit the day job, fail fast. Fail fast, right? And so when I was a kid, you had my aunt and my mom sitting on the bench and watching me and my cousins and them play at the park. And I go darting across the thing, and it's concrete jungle in Flint. It was glass, So I fall, boom.
Same thing in Cleveland.
I fall, my aunt jump, and my mom sticks that arm out.
Let it get up.
You see? But we don't allow the kids' moms today don't allow the kids to, and let's be real, for a long time, women didn't really have a voice. So now that they do, I'm gonna be heard.
That's a good point.
I'm gonna be heard now. And from one point I understand. I get it. That's unfortunate, y'all. They went through that the way, but in all things there's an extreme. There's an extreme now, and so the way it's set up, there's a ranking structure in the home, right? So let's keep that in mind. But at the same time, I understand there's some frustration built up. You want to be heard, but let's move out the edges a bit. Let's try to, and compromise. And so, because being equally yoked ain't the easiest thing. It's just not. And so, but yeah, they the nurturing thing I talked about. They want to go and keep them before they fall. They want to catch them. No, let them fall. Let them fall. Dust themselves off. Let them figure it out on their own. But it ain't enough for that. It's a lot of So
You about to say something, Chris?
No, he covered what I was going to say.
So I guess their mothers, they still want to nurture. They still want to be that head and be that voice of reasoning when the daughter said, okay, I got it now. You don't need to nurture me. No, I'm 40, 50 years old. I think I got it.
Hard to give up.
Yeah, it's hard to give up.
So
they still want to feel needed. The
So
older they get, they still want to feel like they are.
so I guess I'm blaming the mothers, the grandmothers. I'm blaming the 60, 70 years old.
You ain't got to guess.
It's
You're
like,
doing
hey,
it. No, I'm just
you
playing.
had,
I'm just playing.
they had their time. Let it go and let somebody else have
But as
it.
a support, though, like when you talk about these brothers, which I respect and appreciate, and all we know how to do is provide, right? Our mantra has been make sure everything is cool.
Yeah, no doubt.
And so then we kind of it gets blurred in the fact that okay, we want to make sure everything is cool, but we don't necessarily know how to respond to what's happening. What's happening in that dynamic, and that becomes our impetus. That's why I appreciate even listening to this conversation now. I'm reflecting back on, I probably could have handled some things a little bit differently, or made some other, and then moving forward, how do you make sure we're in a position to be more understanding of that dynamic? Because again, at the end of the day, each one of these cats, I just met these two cats. I know Chris, I know George. I know our default is to make sure that our family is good,
Yeah, no doubt.
Exactly.
right?
So for sure.
And so we don't stop to consider sometimes some of these other dynamics that are going on. And so this conversation helps us now realize, wow, there's some other factors at play that we could consider in the equation as we move
Helps to
forward.
fine tune our thinking.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Because I was just sitting here thinking, and the father and son and mother and daughter, you may bump heads with your son, but your son knows, hey, my dad is the ruler of this house.
Patriarch, right? Going back to that
Yeah,
patriarch, right?
this is my dad's house. So, you know, I'm gonna bump head with my dad to a certain level, but cause what we're probably butt heads about is something that my dad has taught me.
Yeah.
That he's not doing it the way he taught me, so I'm pushing back on this because that's not what you said, Daddy. But in the woman's and daughter, you know, it's almost the daughter. She don't look at it that way. She's like, well, mom is up in age, or mom is this, or mom is that, and she's trying to push mom on out the way. I got to be the caretaker now. You know.
Right. Yeah, that's a good point.
So would we characterize that as a form of familial competition? They're competing for the nurture.
That's certainly what it seems. Looking from a distance. Yeah.
And I don't know if it goes down to competition. I think there is innately. I think black women, as a species, let's call black women a species. Most of black women in my life, so they want to be prepared. So I think that's where that overlap becomes. The women in our lives at this level are not going to be not prepared. Okay. Right? And so if it becomes that dynamic against their mom or their auntie or that other woman, they're going to put themselves in the position to be prepared to make sure that it happens. Again, like we all said, with our sons, the difference is, bro, we're gonna make sure you're prepared, because we're gonna be good, right? We want to make, and I think the women in our lives at this age want to make sure there's some innate thing that's happening, and maybe it's been societal over the last 50 years where black women feel like they have to be prepared to take care of everything just in case.
And I'm gonna tell you something too, man. My daughter seems to want to level up to be the woman that makes me proud.
Yeah.
She ain't necessarily, well, I don't even know. But I know the relationship between her and I, right. She's always concerned about how proud I am of her maturing as a woman.
She know your standard.
Dad, am I getting it right?
Standard.
Because Dad is a good man.
Right.
And if I can level up to the man that I know that I have in my dad, then I can be that. But
the next man coming along gotta meet that standard.
He gotta meet that standard. Not saying I only meet that standard, but I'm in the position now as a woman to say I'm fit to be in the place for the standard that man might bring that levels up to my father.
Exactly.
Eric, you about to say something?
I was about to say I must have failed my daughter. Because my daughter, me and her mom, we didn't stay together, and for a long time, her mom did everything she could to try to keep her away from me. So, but I do see her more now, trying to, I guess, live up to what I might feel is versus before.
Right.
So I'm gonna ask you guys to put your sociologist hat on for a second, and you don't have to necessarily talk about your own personal situation, but sort of social commentary. Do you see whether or not this mother-daughter dynamic is affected by the age difference of the mother and daughter? Meaning, if they are smaller, the mother was a teen mother, and thus there isn't a large difference in age between the two, or if the mother was older, in her late 20s or 30s or something, do you see whether or not that impacts this dynamic between mother and daughter?
Yeah, I can understand if a mom had a child, let's say in their early teens, 16, 17, 18-year-olds, that mother, and I can imagine that mother may not have been mature enough at that age to raise his child, or she was just a child herself. Now she's raising this other child. So as they grow up together, I could see how the daughter can kind of think that she's on par with her mom, because the age difference is not as the gap is not as big. So there may be a challenge that where the daughter may think, I know just as much as my mom at a certain point in age as they're adults, that hey, I'm just like you right now. If they, as they grow up, I could see that challenge as a younger mom with a daughter that's close in age. Now with now if the age gap is big, I'm gonna go back to, at some point, mama gotta let it go. It's going back to the nurturing part of it. Okay, at 50, 60-year-old and your daughter is 40, 45, 50. Okay, you did good, mom. Let it go.
But what about the bigger age gap then?
No, that's what I'm talking about. The bigger age gap,
Okay, I'm sorry.
like my wife, in their 50s, and her mom maybe 80. That's a 30-year gap.
Oh, okay.
It's time for the 80-year-old to say, okay, daughter, I've done you well.
Right.
I'm gonna let you do what you do.
Sure.
But I think some, with that bigger age gap, they won't let it go. They want to be that matriarch. They want to hold on to that title, hold on to it as long as they can.
That daughter run the second leg. Going past that baton.
My wife and her mother, they're like 20, 21, 22 year gap, something like that. They don't necessarily bump heads about the matriarchal part of things. I don't guess, not that I know of anyway. It goes back to like what I was talking about. My wife seems like she's the mother now, and the mother is the child, because the mother is older. Obviously, she has health issues on and off, and she always says she's trying to do too much. And my wife is always trying to go sit down somewhere. She says she need to go sit down somewhere. And then the other thing is with like the new technology, stuff like, the iPhone. She used the iPhone, but, she only really need the iPhone to call somebody, and that's about it. She's always trying to do stuff on the phone, but just don't really grasp the technology associated with it. So I end up, it always ends up she's did something, I need to go fix it. And I just kind of, me personally, I just kind of laugh it off. I was like, oh, okay, whatever. But, she's like, she need to go sit down and leave stuff alone. And they bump heads, but that's literally the type stuff they bump heads about. And then I always tease her about, your mama love me, because she always refer to me like I'm the greatest whatever.
Right. That's a beautiful space, bro. That's a beautiful space.
My fiance's mom, the only one day, and she said, I really love my daughter.
Well,
I love you.
Wow.
That's a great space.
That's a great space to be in.
That's right. That's an ace in the pocket. Yeah.
That's really good.
I think the big thing too is, like I said, it also differentiates who you're talking to. Like you talking to a room full of mid-50 men in our experiences. If you would go generation back, you're talking to 40-year-olds, it might be a little different. And what we've learned how to navigate, when I'm here for these brothers, and we've learned how to navigate that space where we keep the peace. Mm-hmm. Right? We love our women and we respect their experience. Mm-hmm. And we ain't gonna get in the way of it. We're gonna try to make sure that it's cool, but we're gonna default to, okay, baby, are you okay? Even if you're wrong. And that's where, I recognize, I can speak to my mother and my sister's relationship and when my mom, unfortunately, lost my mom, got sick, but, their relationship and my sister didn't really know how to respond once my mom was gone, right? And so I think we have learned how to navigate, because those experiences are totally different across the board based on a lot of our experiences are that there are strong matriarchal experiences in our lives, and then how do we as strong men support it? And there's not a lot of inroads to make it, because we can't just mandate anything in any of this, right? We figure out how to make sure that we can stay supportive, and it does depend on a lot what our personal influences are, and then how we want to maintain where we go from here. And that's why I respect hearing what these brothers have to say. Now I have way more respect for the position that they're in to say, okay, yeah, I gotta find some neutrality to make sure that my household stays good, and understanding that these other experiences are real and we still have to deal with. So.
And also, I'm sorry, you were gonna say it. And also, you talked about that age difference, right? So I don't know much about the huge age difference as the bigger age gap. We talked about being 80 and the daughter being like 50 like 30 years in between. I don't have much of that in me. My mother and her mom, the age was almost like in between, too young and too or older. I don't want to say too old, but older, right? So I don't know. And then with my wife, she had our daughter around the age of 25 years old. Right. And so, but in the age of social media, and I don't want to come off as a being misogynistic? Is that the word?
Yeah, it's all good, family.
All right, bet. And so I don't want to do that. But all I'm saying is, in the age of social media, what we see is indirectly these younger girls who's having kids young, they're the turn up age. So indirectly, they're showing and teaching their daughters how to turn up. How not to position yourself to find the man and be the wife for the man that you should be. But you ain't gonna find in the club to turn 21, mom in there with her in the club turning up.
Yeah. So the reason I asked the question, you actually hitting on one of the reasons I was probing about the age difference. My observation had been that when the age gap is smaller, that both the immaturity of the mother and the fact that the mother is still trying to have the lifestyle that she would have had
without a child.
Right.
So she still wants the club life.
Right.
She still wants to have the fun
Right.
that she would have had without a child.
Mm-hmm.
But when the age gap is smaller, so let's say we have the mom at 20, right? And you have the child is now 50. Let's put the mom at like closer to 30. And so we have the child at about 50, right? I don't know what your experiences were, but in my high school experiences, my 15-year-old classmates were dating 25-year-old guys. Right? That was my experience. So,
but that was the norm.
That was normal. But what that means though is that 25-year-old guy can go for the mama or the daughter.
Right.
So now
sweet spot. I call that the sweet spot.
So now you have this inherent competition that comes in, right? And I'm not arguing in favor of young girls. That's just the way it works, right? So when that age gap is different, and we have this competition, 50-year-old is dating older people, mom is dating people from this 10-year age range, from 25 to 35 when she's 30, right? So, looking sociologically, not from your own individual experiences, but I tend to see that shorter age gap presents that as a problem, even if they're not competing for dates.
So there becomes a innate competition.
Right.
is
Even
what you're saying.
right. Even if it's
Wow.
not happening. Right.
Wow. I ain't never seen it that way.
I never considered that perspective either, but I can see your point. Wow.
So one of my friends.
That makes sense. Some
you
of my
know,
encounters now. I'm like, damn, I'm thinking back.
her mom repeatedly made comments about, you know, how attractive her daughter was, right?
Okay.
And so the daughter is like, you know, why do I have this contentious relationship with my mom? Because the daughter developed physically much more significantly than the mom did.
Let me ask you something, man.
Yeah,
What is, got a PhD, right?
yeah.
What is your overarching outcome? What are you getting from this conversation?
Well, what I'm hearing mostly is that you've all found your sweet spot for being able to be supportive of your significant others in order to be able to deal with this kind of relationship. And for the most part, you prefer that it not exist and not have to get involved at all. But because it's impacting you and your household and your peace of mind, and you find that you have to intervene, you know, to some degree. Poor George is over here having to negotiate stuff. He just wants to sit there and watch his game and drink his drink.
Not that easy, bro.
You know,
That's funny.
And poor Conte is over there trying to navigate between his
Daughter and his wife,
his hormonal
keep
daughter.
the peace.
Right, and so that's sort of what we're watching.
So how does this feed your objective though? What in game from your perspective as you communicate this out?
Well, to be honest, my role was really to facilitate the conversation. You know, Kim asked me to moderate.
Oh yeah, my bad.
Not primarily my particular views, but
I should say, but you gotta have some baseline as a theologian.
okay.
You gotta have some baseline objective from this conversation.
Well,
And now I'm curious.
but yeah, I mean,
As a fellow.
my general conclusions are that, you know, we're in a difficult position as men trying to negotiate these contentious relationships. Because what we're dealing with is, as George has pointed out, these things existed before we arrived.
Correct. We inherit these things. Right.
And many of us, our inherent instinct is to fix.
Right.
But we don't have the right hammer.
Correct.
We don't have the right screwdriver.
Correct.
We don't have the right any kind of tool
Correct.
that will repair that.
Yes, sir.
So I listened to the episodes where the women talk. Okay, we have not touched on anything that the women identified as the issues between their relationships with their mother.
We haven't touched on it?
Wow.
What the
That's
heck?
interesting. Interesting.
We have not.
So man, play that tape.
Yeah.
Play that.
We gotta wait till the podcast come out.
So it has nothing to do with the
What
monarchy.
in the world?
It had to do with us.
Wait.
That's what I appreciate.
So-
That's what I believe.
So they're looking
He
at
wanted-
these micro interactions,
Yep,
and
I can believe that.
Oh, that's
feelings of
Yeah.
not being heard, right? Which
Okay.
becomes a general thing, right?
Right.
Because if I speak and, you know, if I just get a hint that you're not paying any attention to me, we box in that,
Right.
right? Because, and so it only had to have happened a few times when I was 3
Right.
for it to become what the nature of the relationship is, right? Because we don't look for many things to establish a pattern.
Right.
Human beings are pattern creating beings,
Right.
right? So the moment it looks like if I walk by George and slap him on his head once, if I come back and I raise my hand up a second time, he's jumping up or he's doing whatever, right? We create patterns. It doesn't take many times for it to happen.
Okay.
we react to it. So their interactions are generated by these micro, circumstances that have happened and that have perpetuated themselves.
And we don't take that into consideration because we grab all of it and try to make it all work, and so we don't get into the specifics of it.
We're looking at the
And that's what
bigger.
we
So
miss.
we're looking at the bigger picture.
Yes.
Is that what it is?
Yes.
But we don't
you know
necessarily
my
know the details.
Yeah, we haven't had that experience.
Right.
Like
But
you said.
that's how women's minds are. We
Right.
tend to deal with things like waffles and sections.
Right.
Sit there for a second. Let me take care of this. And we can let me hang the picture you asked me. First, right? But the brains are like spaghetti, man. It's all over. We like,
We gonna rush. We gonna grab it all.
Yeah.
And then we'll filter it in that process.
Yeah.
They want to filter it one by one.
It makes sense
I'm
because
glad I asked that question, man.
it makes sense. Just think about it.
Yeah.
Our kids, we watch them grow up. So we remember when you did that at 2, at 3, at 4,
Right.
all the way up.
Right.
Yeah.
We miss that part out in our wives and mother-in-law's lives. So we don't have that experience.
Real talk.
So we don't have anything to draw from. We don't have anything to draw from. But our wives do.
And if
Yes.
And that's what they're keying on.
Yes.
And that's what they're reacting to.
Right, it's
Yeah.
the building
That's
up
what we
of
miss.
those relationships, with those interactions. And I used to call that relationship plaque,
Wow.
right?
Relationship
and it
plaque.
doesn't get clean. It's most of us we just let it grow,
Yeah.
right?
That
or
is funny.
because we're sort of taught to just keep plowing on,
Yes.
and that's men and women.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
so the plaque builds up.
Mm.
There's no relationship dentist coming along, and so now it's starting to eat at the bone.
so here I'm trying to change a tire while the car's still moving.
Yeah.
It ain't possible. I can't.
But we good with that. We in our minds we can do that.
Yeah.
That's how we've always operated.
Yeah, if I got to do it,
Right.
I'm gonna figure it out.
I'm gonna try to do it. I'm trying to.
This is what's happening. We do it, and that's not how they do. They want us to park and pull over, but we still trying to get to where we going.
We're gonna run into a wall.
Look, I got you. The car's still moving. I know. I'm about to change it. Right? I got
We
this.
can't repair them.
Yeah.
Oh man.
Right.
But the deal is that we're involved, right?
Yep.
Yeah,
Thank
for
you so
sure.
much.
And we cannot
I need to
make
pull back.
what it is that
Time out.
Being involved is the repair.
Don't open,
well,
don't
so
open my head
it
up
can
too
help,
much.
it can help mitigate certain
I want to
things,
prep
right?
for this.
Okay.
So like about these differences in perspective,
You're right. You're right. That's what
I
he's
ain't
talking
even
about.
sign that paper.
helping them think in different ways.
Yes, sir.
Sure.
All right, good shit.
But that's all we got.
That's so.
Yeah.
But perspective doesn't change the feeling.
Yeah.
It don't.
Right.
You were in
That's
the
right.
military, right?
Right.
Sure.
I'm sure
Yeah.
you got deployed,
Yeah, I did.
and you've seen people who have PTSD.
Right.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Experience does
Oh
not
yeah.
fix PTSD.
Right.
Right.
No amount of experience fixes PTSD.
No, it don't.
There's a some professor, he was talking about this thing, and he was like, I can make you a drink, great tasting drink, you got all the good stuff in it. I put some pee in it, and no amount of the great tasting stuff that I put in makes it not have pee.
Not have
Right.
pee.
Right. Right.
Yep.
Right? You cannot sugar up the pee.
You can't
Because-
unpee.
because
You
even
can't unpee the
taste it,
drink.
Can't sweep.
You can't unpee it. You can't unpee it.
Right? Even
Yeah,
if the
it's
taste
there.
is gone,
It's
Right.
there.
You can't
it
unpee it.
still
Yeah.
got pee.
It's
And that's
there.
how we live. That's how we live.
You can add
Race
all
is
the
a
sugar
lie.
to that shit.
And we just,
You can put lemon. You can put lemon into that
And that
shit.
becomes the difference. But I appreciate that.
But it's still
That's why- That's why I wanted to ask that objective, because until we understand that dynamic, there's no way we change our approach.
Right.
We're gonna approach it the way we approach it as men.
Cause we're fixers.
Yeah.
We're gonna make sure our
Yeah.
family are good, everybody is good, and so we're not gonna get into the detail of it. And so but this is a totally different perspective.
But should we try to get into the detail of it so we can better understand it? So we can.
We
For
should.
conversation.
We should.
If there is something that can be fixed, if there is something that can be, we have to better understand it, right?
Or at least something to talk about.
But
Yeah.
Maybe because I don't know that we're gonna change how we do things either. But we can be better conversationalists.
Look, there's hope. Hope deferred makes the heart sick. So I'm moving into this thing with hope, man. I got some hope, man. I'm trying to see things.
Hey,
I want something to change, man.
hey, man, you need to change. You need to change that hope.
I'm trying to change that hope. No, man, I gotta hold on to my hope. That's all I got.
But I think that's where if we can at least be in a position to start talking about it. I don't think we're ever in a position to really start talking about it, because when they start talking, and this is our approach. Okay, baby, I hear you, but I don't really know what you're talking about.
Okay, yeah.
So now, shit, I can empathize a little bit. I'm never gonna be in your,
but I can empathize.
I get what you're
I
saying.
can
Now
empathize.
I have a little more consideration.
Sure.
Maybe we can take this conversation a little bit further.
You ain't gonna never know how much pee is in that glass.
Dang.
You ain't gonna be able to relate. Hey, man, you know what? Honestly, they may not know how much pee is in that glass.
We can talk about it a little bit.
that's part of the deal, is because many times they don't know what caused the rift,
Right.
particularly on the daughter's side, because the daughter is not the adult,
Right.
and so
But she grown now.
Yeah, but
What was inherited?
But
What
the
was
deal is that
transpired? Right. What was passed on?
right, but you're still viewing the experiences that you had from what happened as a child.
Right.
And some things you don't really get.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So if I called you up and I asked you, I called you at work, Mom, and say, can I have this cereal? And you tell me no. When I eat the cereal, and I get my behind steak when I get home. When you get home, my perspective can be, you didn't respect that I was hungry.
Yep. Drip.
And so
One drip.
I suggest we become better huggers.
Oh man.
Let's just hug better. That's all we can do.
He said,
Baby girl, give me a hug.
Yeah.
Let's be better huggers.
And I'm mad because what you did was you told me I had to stay hungry.
Right, as opposed
Because we
to-
were all Gen X's and latchkey.
Hey man, you
So-
play too much.
So
I wouldn't even try to go here on a Sunday night. Man,
Yeah.
you play too much.
Wow.
There's so much conversation to be had, man.
Yes,
I don't
sir.
know if we got enough time.
Hey,
I start today.
hey, because we can get real
Bro,
deep.
we trying to unpack all this
Go
stuff.
back.
Ah,
right.
Yeah. No, I think
Hey, we need a part 2.
Yeah. And we can become better huggers. I think the break point is we recognize, oh shit, here's a whole other perspective that we can digest that we haven't.
without a doubt.
Yeah.
Right? We haven't even considered a lot of this.
Because at this point, they ain't trying to change the tire. I'm just gonna let the car wreck, and then we deal with it when we get to the accident. We just confront it then, see? You know what I'm saying? I was trying to. I saw the wires and the tires coming out, but I said, you know what? We just gonna have to hit this wall. Why? Now you see?
Stand your ground with the repair, but it's just having that conversation because she's not going to understand that.
But maintenance is easier than repair.
Yes, sir.
It's quick. It's easier to get a $3 quart of oil
Yes, sir.
than a $3,000 engine.
Yes, sir.
So y'all talking about men always looking to try to fix? I'm gonna have to. Hey, I gotta hold on to my hope, bruh.
Preventive
I'm
maintenance.
gonna keep preventive maintenance.
Stay
Yeah,
with
man.
it. Stay with the preventive.
Yeah.
I'm gonna add another piece to it. I'm gonna add another piece to it. And it's something that can.
I'm depressed, man.
You know,
I'm an emotional like this woman right now. I want to cry, bruh.
You need to bring bros back now.
Yeah, I gotta go eat a steak and do some push-ups or something.
So as parents, the only people who can critique our parenting, whether or not we're mothers or fathers, are our children.
Right?
Yeah.
Wait, say that again.
As parents, the only people who can critique your parenting is your children.
Is your children.
Right.
And no parent likes to be critiqued about their parenting. So one of the things that happens, particularly with the mothers and the daughters, is that the daughters have something to say about how they were parented, and the mothers
Don't want to hear it.
They don't. Even when they recognize that they've done this wrong, right?
Injustice.
Right? That's not what they want to address.
Yeah.
What they want to address is that I've done the best that I could, which is the normal response,
Right.
or that I did better later. So why are you still mad at me for the thing that I did wrong? But PTSD doesn't work that way, right?
Trauma is trauma.
Trauma is trauma. The P is in the cup.
Yep.
It doesn't matter how much good stuff you've done. You have to find you gotta find whatever it is makes the P go away.
Try to sift that thing out.
Exactly. Cheesecloth, whatever it is. But most of the time, that is not the conversations that the parents want to have.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay? And so,
Hey, man, where your sage at?
And you know what? I think I could have that conversation because my mentality and my perspective is, and I kind of spoke this with my wife, is that I did the best I could while I was raising you, and if there's something that person or that kid would say, hey, you did this wrong, I'm going to have to accept it, but that's not going to make me feel bad. Right. And I'm not going to overcompensate to make you feel better now that you told me that.
Right.
So to me, that from a parent perspective, you have to be comfortable in what you did in raising them. And if they have that PTSD and that P in that cup, okay. I understand you. I empathize with you, but okay. Thank you for sharing, but we're gonna keep this train moving.
We're gonna keep it moving.
So in your experience with this and the women that you talk to, what will make the PTSD go away from their perspective?
So what they believe is going to correct it is if their mothers acknowledge the issues.
Acknowledge.
Right, but that only touches the surface.
But
of
how
That
many
another door.
how many mamas is going to say
I see
I was
that.
wrong.
I was wrong?
It's only a few.
It ain't many.
It doesn't often happen.
Golly.
But so part of the deal is that as a child you can't assess all of the potential decisions that could have been made in a circumstance.
Exactly.
All you know is that the one that happened was the one you didn't like.
And because that child is speaking from their maturity level.
Exactly.
So when they say you did this wrong for me, you didn't understand the bigger picture that mom or dad did for them.
Right.
So in most cases, I'm not talking about
in their thinking.
Yeah, I'm not talking about from abuse or drug or anything. I'm just talking generally speaking.
Yeah, right.
That child is speaking from their maturity level, from the child's point of view.
Sure.
I had one of my goddaughters. She called me and she was upset with her mom. She was saying, stuff about her mom. I was like, listen, you and mom announced. You do not know the circumstances that your mama was dealing with in choosing, the circumstances that she tried to correct. If you don't know what that was. And, because many times you'll get a lot of the girl children complain about, my mama looked like she was more interested in finding a man than she was in parenting. And there's good reason for that. Number one, raising children by yourself is hard. Okay? And the easiest way to find a participant who's going to help you raise the children that you have is to find a new man. Okay? Now there's usually a caveat though, because us brothers are not, we don't do this in general just because. So one of the things that we tend to require is that you have to have my baby too. Right? That becomes a requirement. I will take care of you and all your kids.
Only if you let me.
Yeah, man.
We don't say it,
Yeah.
right? But we look at all the proliferation of men who have kids. This is what we're doing.
Yeah.
Because it becomes the anchor to the relationship.
Yeah, right.
Otherwise, as the man, you end up being just an addendum, right? So the anchor that connects you is the new child. But if the relationship don't work out, now the woman has child for you and these other kids.
And she had to go through the whole
And
process
she got to go
again.
through the whole process again, right? Because we make it a requirement in order for us to contribute and take care of these other kids. I'll take care of all of them.
As long as I'm taking care of mine.
Right. As long as I'm taking care of mine. My grandmother, when she met my grandfather, had 2 kids and was probably pregnant with a third. My grandfather married my grandmother and then proceeded to have 7 other kids. Okay? As far as my uncles and aunts, who weren't, his biological kids, that was their dad. Right?
Yeah.
So, but that's the way it tended to function. And I'm talking this 19,
Right.
1920s, 1930s, right? Yeah, right? So that's the way it tended to function.
So how do we circle back to being more supportive brothers
Well,
in light of all the obstacles, obviously,
That we don't know about.
How do we just fundamentally stand our ground?
but I think you guys have already identified those. Compassion,
Empathy.
empathy, recognizing that more than likely our spouses will never get the closure that they want.
Pass.
Yeah, they don't get
I'm hearing all my testosterone go down the toilet.
Because it will require that the mothers change how they think about, how they parent. When my kids were like, this is before Katrina, so everybody was 5 and under. We would have these family meetings, and we were talking about what did we do to create better character during that week, right? So my kids would talk about, I let my brother play the game, I didn't take more than my 10 minutes. I made certain that he had. And so they would tell about themselves. Then they got to tell whether or not they, what they saw in the character development of their siblings. And then we tried something radical. They got to say what they saw about the character development in their parents.
And y'all.
Yeah.
Uh-oh.
And they never held back. I can tell you that. My oldest son in particular, he would say, "Dad, you spanked me, and I didn't do nothing wrong."
Is that healthy though?
Well, what it did is put them in a position of advocating for themselves. Now, granted, it never prevented me from being able to discipline, because I still got to provide why I did what I did and how much knowledge I had in the situation. But it didn't build that wound that they never understood my perspective.
Oh, man.
I wonder could I do that with
Dude,
Kay?
that's genius. Y'all did that? Oh, man, it's too late for me, man.
Because they tell you, they're like, "Yeah, Dad, you was out there, taking people's games and whatnot, and and I saw you last
For no
week."
reason.
Yeah, for no reason. And I saw you last week lying to that bill collector.
Right. Yeah.
Right? And but now they because they get to see behind the curtain a little bit, right? As opposed to just trying to judge it based on their own limited perspective. I get to share some of the reasoning. Now, I'm not claiming this is a panacea. Now, I'm not.
Right. But it
You
at
know.
least gives enough logic
Right.
for them not to be judgmental
Right.
and then become disengaged.
Right. Right. But it doesn't fully stop that.
Correct.
Like my younger son, he said, "Dad, why you never got me into playing basketball?" I said, "Son, I put you in a league. You didn't want to play."
Right.
He said, "Yeah, but why you didn't show me videos of Michael Jordan? Then I might have played."
Right.
I said, "So what you're saying is that I needed to figure out this one little bitty thing
Right.
that was gonna work. Like
Trigger you.
That was gonna trigger you."
Right.
Because now he's a basketball aficionado. You can ask him any stat. He's still ain't good at playing.
Cause you didn't buy that Come Fly With Me, Michael Jordan.
You didn't show him that film of Michael Jordan when he was coming up.
And so my fault.
Right. Right. Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Because I was supposed to have known
Right.
that the Michael Jordan film was going to look it over.
Right.
That's funny.
And that probably still wouldn't have worked.
From you.
Right.
It has to be.
But let him tell it.
But he's
Yeah,
thinking.
He's thinking like, if only that.
Right.
Yeah, he's thinking at this age that was going to work when he was.
I promise you, but I appreciate this conversation, man. Like probably like a lot of these brothers. I'm like, this was way more than I ever anticipated. Having a conversation like this. But it's great in the sense of how to show up. Right, and I can get that sense from all of us now. We have a better grip of, even if we show up incorrectly, the fact that we show up is going to be, and we don't have to work it out from there, and trust that our family, our loved ones are going to respect the fact that we trying to show up.
Right.
Because we all, I get to say, all strong brothers that have grown into this has worked for us over all these years. We are 1, 2, 3, X, Y, Z. Right? It ain't always been perfect, but now, okay, cool. Maybe we can delineate a little bit. Ask a question. Hey, right? Well, how do you feel about? What do you So I appreciate that aspect of it because I would not have considered. Because at the end of the day, I'm gonna make it work.
We gotta be more of a simp now. I can hit my wife on the phone now. Girl, this nigga call himself wanting to listen now. And I'm sitting there like a simp. Straight sucker, all day lollipop in the candy store. All day sucker.
It ain't that bad. But yes.
Girl, he wanna listen now. 30 years later.
Look, we stay humble.
And we more enlightened.
Right.
We more
I'm gonna give it a shot. I'm gonna give it the old college try, man. I'm
Oh,
gonna see what happens with this thing. I'm gonna go into this thing with a whole new. I'm teachable. I'm teachable, man.
I respect my love and respect for you cats for that humility. I appreciate y'all sharing that humility for real. So good looking out.
Well, so it looks like we've reached a good stopping point.
Yeah, it's time to stop, man.
Man, I ain't got nothing left.
Now that y'all know how much pee in that glass, now y'all want to stop. We can't get the pee. This is a wrap.
Well, that's cool. I appreciate that, fam. And actually, hopefully, we build on these conversations. That's the baseline. Yeah. Build on these conversations. So just keep it 100.
Thank you so much for joining us for this two-part conversation inside the observation glass. I truly hope these episodes gave you a rare and meaningful peek into how the men in our lives see, interpret, and are impacted by the African American mother-daughter dynamic. Their honesty, humor, storytelling, and vulnerability added a layer to this discussion we don't often hear, and I'm grateful for every one of them who courageously and boldly pulled up a chair to share his perspective. As always, I want you, our listeners, to be part of this ongoing dialogue. These conversations only grow richer when we hear your stories, your reflections, and your lived experiences. So I would love to know, what resonated with you? What challenged you? What do you want to explore more deeply? Please take a moment to leave a comment on the YouTube episode or connect with me on our social media platforms, Instagram, Facebook, and via email, to share your thoughts. Your engagement helps shape future episodes and builds a community where healing, understanding, and transformation can truly take place. Thank you for tuning in to The Motherly Shift, for your openness, and for being part of this journey of shifting perspectives, one conversation at a time. Until next time, I'm Kim Michelle. Take care of yourselves and each other.